Penguin Random House Audio presents Fit for the Gods, Greek Mythology Reimagined. Edited by Jenn Northington and S. Zainab Williams. Read for you by a full cast.
Goals include meaningful work, using my skill set, preferably by the sea, experienced in shipwrecks, sea shanties, hospitality. Career highlights. You've heard of Odysseus? A rare near miss. Also, search party experience, though Demeter wasn't thrilled with the outcome. Close call at a singing competition, but Hera rigged that. Orpheus, too. Languages spoken: Greek and Latin. References: Achelos at River Gods Inc., several muses, and my equally talented sisters. Willing to relocate. Fran Wilde. A resume. Introduction by Jenn Northington and S. Zainab Williams. Read by Nicky Endres. It feels as if we're in a golden age of retellings. So many authors are diving into the Western canon and beyond, paying homage to their favorites while bringing readers their own takes on those favorites. We're getting the perspectives of characters long relegated to the margins, from the Arthurian legends, see Sword Stone Table, from Shakespeare, from fairy tales and fables. It's a feast for the imagination, and as readers, we are at the table, digging in. It continues to be true, however, that the vast majority of writers who are given a platform to retell these stories are from a narrow group. Publishing continues to work toward uplifting the voices of creators from marginalized communities, but progress is slower in some places than others. While there is no shortage of diverse voices telling stories, both old and new, we've struggled to find a range in one of our favorite fandoms, Greco-Roman mythology. As with many of our peers who became devotees of this mythology, we found our way to these stories through the classics, Thomas Bulfinch's Mythology and Ingrid and Edgar Parent-Dolaire's Book of Greek Myths. Jenn got in trouble for reading Bulfinch at the back of the auditorium during her brother's high school concert recital, and while she still doesn't know how to pronounce Dolaire, she has bought their book for every child in her life. Likewise, young Sharifa made countless repeat visits to the library at Carthay Center Elementary School to thumb through the brightly illustrated pages of the Dolaire's volume. She may have had to pay some late fees for forgetting to return it. Returning to the stories as adults through another classic, Edith Hamilton's Mythology, brought home the urgency to usher inclusive, feminist, progressive, and less Eurocentric perspectives to some of our favorites, to respond to the discordant note these stories struck in us. Despite haters' unfounded assertions, the ancient world was incredibly international and diverse, just like today's world. Ask Jenn about her bachelor's thesis on pre-modern globalization sometime if you really want an earful about this. There's no doubt that readers are hungry for new takes on the Pantheon, that delightfully messy family of immortal weirdos, on the characters who still leap off the pages of the Iliad and the Odyssey the same way they must have once leaped off Homer's lips. And there's no doubt that writers are thoughtfully and joyfully remixing the gods, the heroes, and the villains so many of us know and love. As is always the case with something we love, we wanted more. We set out to find a broad range of writers who share in our love of this particular corner of mythology and wanted to dig in and get their hands on these stories to make them their own. We could not have been more overwhelmed or gratified by the response. Between targeted asks and an open call, we received enough submissions to make several anthologies. Narrowing it down to the stories in this volume was a special kind of torment. When you have such riches to choose from, the criteria shift. Now you're trying to find the relationships between the stories, which speak to each other, which go to places the reader hasn't been before, which were the most surprising, the most unexpected. Even then, we had to let go of some pieces we wish we had room for. We devoutly hope that those stories will be in your hands thanks to other editors and publications, because there's a gloriously monstrous amount of talent out there. These 15 stories take our beloved favorites and reimagine them in new, fun, strange, and/or terrifying ways. After several rounds of debating story order, we present you with what we like to think of as a 5-course meal. First, whet your appetite as Zoraida Córdova resurrects the players in Medusa's story in the modern era with hilarious results, and editor and contributor S. Zainab Williams imagines a millennial Dionysus plotting the overthrow of the pantheon. Then we dig in a little more. Zane Jukadar's Tiresias contemplates fate, choice, and transformation. Sarah Gailey finds Thetis fighting for her freedom from the chains of others' expectations, as does Juliana Spink Mill's Penelope. Susan Purr situates her Aphrodite in a small community where love can influence as many people as she likes. Wink, wink. Suleika Snyder turns Theseus's story into a meditation on how far someone might go to bring their love back home, while Mia P. Manansala reimagines the Furies as a small family detective agency. Then we range further afield as Valerie Valdez takes us into space with Atalanta, and Jude Reale asks how far Odysseus would go to get home to their loved ones. The world may crumble, but there will always be stories. Marika Bailey's transformed Daphne plots her revenge, while Alyssa Cole gives us a far future take on Hades and Persephone that will melt your heart. Taylor Ray's gender-bent Aeneas asks what it means to carry the weight of the lost on your shoulders. And sometimes, you just need to burn it down. Wenwen Yang's nameless narrator considers the price of power. Maya Deane's unapologetic and rage-filled Amazons don't care. They're ready to pay the price. As we worked on assembling this collection, we couldn't imagine a finer epigram than Fran Wilde's A Resume. All these gods and goddesses, heroes and villains, monsters both creature and human, are more than willing to move, and to move readers in turn. We hope you find much to enjoy in these pages, and maybe even a little bit of yourself.
The Gorgon Confessionals by Zoraida Córdova. Read by a full cast. A year ago, the ancients regenerated into new corporeal forms, their powers and influence a whisper of what they once were. The age of heroes they knew is long gone, and now they must make a go of this strange new world. This is their story.
Narrator. The daughter of Quito and Phorcys, Medusa was the most beautiful girl of her age. Suitors came from all over the known world to ensnare her in marriage, but her heart was dedicated to Athena, virgin goddess of war and wisdom.
Steno, Medusa's eldest sister. Between us, Medusa was always quite squeamish. She wouldn't even eat oysters.
Euryale, Medusa's middle sister, and author of Such a Pretty Face, My Life in Medusa's Shadow. I think it reminded her of her own mortality. It wasn't our fault that Steno and I were born immortal. Though our father...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?